Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. What a squad we have here. Danny Galen, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Join us now on the Meyer Supercenter guest line. The coach, Kyle Barlow, Concordia alum, this GA years under John Beilein at the University of Michigan, now assistant coach at Ohio University. Big one for OU. Oh, yeah, tonight they'll be in the Glass City taking on the Toledo Rockets for the Barlow Bowl. Good morning, Coach Barlow. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Sitting here in the Glass City, staring at the Maumee River here and the beautiful hotel we got downtown. So doing awesome, man. Hey, who was that clip? Who was the kid's dad?
Jabari Smith.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, definitely. LeBron definitely feels old now, huh?
You know, I saw they had some post on social media had said something along the lines of like LeBron James has been, killing these father-son combinations. And I'm like, I mean, who are we talking about here? Who are we talking about here? Who are they? Come on. Like, your dad played in the league. Like, all right. But it's not like your dad was, Karl Malone or something. You know what I mean?
Well,
so it's like.
He's killing the fathers at the end of the father's career and the sons at the beginning of their career, right? I mean,
right.
Let's be honest.
And it was all a bunch of people. You're like, yeah, the casual, never heard of the guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah. And how many more Tom Brady? You were X amount of years old, like Dak Prescott. You weren't born in the last Cowboys playoff road win. You were X amount of years old when Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls. Like, how many more of those do we have to do?
For as long as he plays. That's as long as we'll do it because we love that kind of stuff. 24 seasons. If he returns next year, he's played 23. Should Tom Brady come back for 24 after what you saw last night?
Oof. Last night was a little rough. I mean, they put pressure on him, but you can't deny he was playing really well at the end of the year. Like, I thought he was done towards the beginning and the middle of the year, but towards the end of the year, he kind of turned it on, man. I think Dallas just kind of figured him out. I think he was really confused back there. I think Peyton said it best on the Peyton Eli Gamecast. He says he is clutching with the ball and patting it and, like, moving his shoulders, like, almost like he's unsure. He's like, Tom Brady never does that. So I think it's not a matter of the arm talent still at this point. I mean, this is my professional football opinion. Obviously, I'm a football coach. I just think he was confused last night. He was very confused, and that's more from Peyton than it is from me.
Coach Barlow, how you feeling this morning when you woke up? What time did you wake up?
A little while ago. Went for a little run and feeling good, man. And there's two types of people in this world: people who get their names on bronze plates and plaques, and people who don't.
Yes.
And that's all I got to say about that. Whether it's a trophy or anything else we could talk about.
Yeah, no, I'm trust me, I'm here for it, here for that, and that's you set out with a goal and you accomplish goals. Like, you have a goal at the beginning of the season, you want to get out there and you want to challenge it. You want to be able to say at the end of the year, like, hey, we got some things done. What's going on right now in the Mid-American Conference, Coach Barlow? Because it seems like, from a standings perspective, like, Kent State really feels like they might be the class of the MAC. Like, they're going to be pretty tough.
Record-wise, for sure. I think they're the only 4-0 team, I believe. But if you look at their games, they're all close. Like, we played it ended up being 5, but it was really a three-point game. We had a shot to tie it with 1 second left. And, of course, they got the rebound at point 2. We fouled, and it covered the spread because the spread was 4. But how would I know that? And so they played a lot of close games. The Toledo game was a 1-point game with 4 minutes left. I think Toledo actually took the lead there, maybe under 4. Western Michigan was a 2-point game with them with 4 minutes left. So they've played some really close games. So record-wise, they are the best team, but I still think it's pretty wide open. And, with 18 league games, there's still a long ways to go. And, you look at Toledo's, it has played really well and beating some good teams. And then you look at a team like Ball State, who goes into Toledo and wins. So, and then Akron. And then Akron's the one that got to be mentioned, too. I mean, Akron's been playing really well. So it's really, right now, I think the cream will kind of rise to the top here in these next couple of weeks. But early on, it's been a league of parity, similar to the NFL. You can quote that. The MAC is similar to the NFL. League of parity right now.
It always is, right? Especially if you compare it to the NFL. I mean, the MAC football. I mean, you're undefeated until you got to play Tuesday night in the middle of November, and that next thing you know, you're on a 3-game slide. Like, that just happens. Your team is 7-1 at home, but you're 2-6 on the road. Tonight's game for you guys is on the road at Toledo. What seems to be the difference there between when you guys are in the Convocation Center versus when you're not?
I think a lot of it goes to we only have two guys from the past 2 years where we've had a lot of success, both home and on the road. Only two guys who have been with us for those 2 years, or for those last couple of years, who are playing big roles right now, and that's Miles Brown and Ben Roderick. And the rest are pretty much freshmen or transfers. And so I think when you have a young team, and those transfers are older experience-wise, but still young to us, and they're young to our culture and the way we do things. I think when you have a team like that, it still takes a while to get them, all the way on the same page. Where last year we lost one player, that was Jason Preston, in the NBA draft, which was a huge hit, but we had the continuity of 5 to 7 guys who had all been in our program. So they kind of knew our routines on the road, knew what we expected, knew, what it takes to win on the road in the MAC, where to win on the road in any conference, I should say, but to win on the road in the MAC, which freshmen sometimes just don't get that, man. We play a lot of freshmen and 18-year-olds in our lineup. So I think it's a process, but I think these kids are bought in, they want to win, and they want to do it the right way.
Well, it's a it's always something, right? When you have to get on the road trip, I think the important thing there is how we do things, right? And that's important. Like, guys got to know what is expected. Like, what time is the bus leaving? Where are we going? Where are we staying? What time is shoot around? What time is breakfast? All these little things that go into the scheduling, and then you got your Dobo out there and your assistant coach. Everybody's running around trying to wrangle these kids up. Like, now we'll see you at breakfast at this time. Now let's get on the bus. Let's go through our walkthrough in the conference center, right? All those good things that make road trips is so much fun. Did you have a chance to watch
your own routine too, Bellino? Like,
what's
that's
that?
where it comes with. So as a player, you have to build your own routine, and so that's one thing to we got breakfast, we got shoot around, bus leaves at this time, but you have to build your own routine around those things. So that you can have the most success on the floor when you're playing. So it's like, if you're waiting until the last minute to wake up before breakfast or before shoot around, you're probably not going to be ready for shoot around. Now you're already building these habits that aren't winning habits, especially on the road where your margin of error is so small. So I think there's a lot that goes into it, and it all sounds like minor things to maybe the average person, but all of those build winning habits if you're doing it the right way, right?
It's the little things in life that make the biggest difference, right? But some guys – some guys are just big in general, and Zach Edey is one of those. Did you have an opportunity at all to see Purdue and Michigan State yesterday afternoon?
Absolutely.
And the reason I ask this is, how exactly is Zach Edey supposed to be officiated when he is listed at 7'4" and 295? And I try to tell people,
and throwing hip tosses around like it's Monday Night Raw.
Ryan, very, very upset about a call that was not made against Mr. Edey, who hasn't fouled yet in the last 10 years. But I try to tell people, he's so big, his cranium is as big as a football helmet. Like, he's the largest human being I've ever seen in person. Like, everything about him is just massive. He's just huge. He's like a giant.
So I laugh when you ask that, because whenever we have a ref, like we have Larry Scarrato today for the Ohio Toledo game, but he just
we got Scary Larry tonight.
Yeah, we got
all right.
So I saw him on the tape, but anytime I see a ref on the tape, I always ask him for the Purdue game, because I love watching Purdue. Some of the actions they run and just playing D and how they do things. Like, I think they're great. I think Painter's a great coach. Coach Painter's a great coach. But anyway, so I asked the ref when I see him doing our game. I say, hey man, I got a question for you at immediate timeout. I said, how in the hell do you ref Zach Edey? And all of them just laughed. And they say, bro, it's impossible. I said, he gets fouled every time. Like, you could probably call foul every time. They said every time. And he was like, every time down the floor, he gets fouled. And it's like, which ones do you call? Like, and then you end up waiting to see if he just misses a shot. So if he misses a shot, he calls a foul. And it's so backwards, but, he is just such a huge human. Kofi Coburn was the same way when it came to that. And I think even Grant Underwood, came out publicly and said it, that he gets fouled every possession. And I would think it's impossible to ref, man. It's funny you ask that question, because I always ask Larry. I'll ask Larry the same thing today.
I'm going to ask him, too, when I see Scary Larry, he'll come over to the table and be like, what's going on? Hey, we got the A team tonight, right? And I'll try to butter everybody up, make sure everybody goes out there, everybody has fun, have some orange slices. But I'm going to ask him, so if you have a Big Ten game against Zach Edey, how do you decide what's a foul and what isn't a foul? Because here's something that I found very interesting. Including that game against Michigan State, Zach Edey has been called for 1 or 0 fouls in 8 of the last 10 games. So it's not the fact that he is getting fouled every play. He also is infallible, much like Christ. He just doesn't get called for anything. Guy never commits a foul.
Well, I think he does do a good job of staying vertical and staying straight up and playing by the rules when he's blocking shots and getting in the way of the basket because of the fact he doesn't need any more advantage. He doesn't need to go A to B, and he doesn't need to be flying across the court to block a shot because he is so big, because he can just stay at the rim and go vertical and show his hands. Like, that's all you have to do, and that makes it a very difficult shot on the other end if you're just showing your hands.
When you talked about your team, Coach, trying to, learn some of these things, learn about, your road routine, learning about winning on the road, what it takes, if you're a young freshman coming in, the grind that is the college basketball season where games are important, every game's on television. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations. Our team that we are connected to that is not either of the teams that are playing this evening, but the Michigan Wolverines, right? You have a strong connection to them, as do I. Our Wolverines, 4-2 in conference play, 10-7 overall. You got to see them firsthand, and I wonder, they dropped the game to Michigan State. They went into Iowa. They had a lead. They melted down late in that game. It went into overtime. You knew they were dead in the water at that point. They rebound and have a really nice game against Northwestern, even though that game had some moments of sweaty palms time. What is it about this team that you believe might be the cause for the inconsistency? Because this is a team that you studied. This is a team you guys prepared for, and this is a team you guys took down to the wire.
Yeah, I think they can, similar to us, we're having the same problem right now where defensively you'll just have these lapses, and I think that'll add up. And it's not everybody, too, and it's not usually the same guy either, and I'm speaking for us mostly, but I can kind of see the same thing with Michigan, is if you don't have five guys who are all connected, especially on defense, then you're going to give something up, especially in the Big Ten, where the coaching and the players are so good that they're going to find that mistake. So it comes down to being connected on defense, in my opinion. I think having those, if you look at their offense, they have a low post score, guys shooting, 50 to 60% from two, and obviously Hunter Dickinson. You have an explosive guard score with Jet Howard, and to be honest, Michigan doesn't turn the ball over. I think they're top 5 in the country right now in turnovers per game at 9. So when you combine those things, that makes a good offense. And, and like I said, it's not always the same guy. I want to emphasize that, too, with Michigan. It's like here, you have one guy here who just misses an assignment, boom, made 3. One guy there misses an assignment, boom, layup, right? And until you get that consistency, and similar to us, they have 5 guys on the floor who really didn't play together. 3 guys who didn't even play together for a long time in the last couple of years. So, they're still trying to figure it out. But the big thing I do see with Michigan, I do see improvement on a game-to-game basis, and that goes to their coaching staff. The credit goes to their coaching staff because I do see it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it continues because I'm telling you what, man, I was real after Central and they win those 2 back-to-back games. I'm like, this team could be. You drop that to Michigan State, you can't hit a shot. You drop that game to Iowa, and now all of a sudden it's like, look, are you gonna be on the bubble? Like, is that what we're really talking about right now? Early on in this Big Ten season, only 6 games played. There's a long way to go here, but is this a team that's fighting for their bubble life?
I think they're going to be battling. I think it'll be similar to last year, and that's probably not because of their Big Ten start. But mostly because they're not in conference. I think that's the reason that they're going to be battling, throughout the year for a tournament spot. But, and that's what life in the Big Ten is like. I mean, we saw that Purdue-Michigan State game. I mean, you look at Purdue, they're number 4 team in the country, and they've won by 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 3 points in their last 3-4 games. So they're by far the best team in the Big Ten when you say ratings-wise, and being rated and being ranked. But the margin of error is so small because the coaching and the players in the Big Ten are so good. And, and that's where Purdue gives them credit. They're winning a lot of close games, but they've also had a lot of continuity with that team as well. Same with Michigan State has had a lot of continuity where Michigan has a lot of guys on the floor who've never played together still.
Yeah, and all try to figure it out. But I'll tell you what, big Terrace Reed fan over here. I'm all in on Terrace Reed. Big Hoss. Love that guy. All right, so if your Bobcats are going to win tonight inside Savage Arena, it is a whiteout for the Toledo Rockets against your Bobcats this evening. How do you go about doing that? What's the scout here tonight?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, it's about us, and I say that because we've been turning the ball over way too much. So taking care of the basketball, and that might sound like coaches speak. Well, we got to rebound and take care of the ball if we're going to win. Well, it's really that simple. When it comes down to us, and they have a very talented offensive team, one of the top 10 teams in the nation in terms of points per game, efficiency, and all those metrics. So they're going to score. So for us, it's going to be about not having empty possessions on our offensive side. Because if you turn the ball over two or three times out of 5 possessions against that team, you're going to be down 10 real quick because those turnovers go to made threes on the other end, or layups or highlight dunks on the other end. So they're a very talented team. So for us, it's going to be more about getting quality possessions, not turning the ball over, and securing the rebound, and maybe getting extra possessions on the other end too.
Whole family coming down for the game?
Yeah, I think we'll see the Barlow playing there. Maybe some friends too swinging by, so it'll be fun. And Barlow's buddies is what you always say. And then my boy will be behind the what do you call that scorers table wearing Toledo colors. So he'll be cheering on the other team. But that's all right, my friend.
All right, man. I'm excited for it. I will see you tonight. Barlow's buddies in action inside Savage Arena there, Bobcats and Rockets. Coach Barlow, as always, my friend, thank you for the time this morning. We greatly appreciate it, and best of luck tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See you.
Barlow's buddies, that's great. Yeah, overlooking the Maumee. The Maumee feeds right into Lake Erie. A lot of sediment, very brown waters. Do we get some clarity there, Ryan, or do we don't feel very clear there about the Zach Edey?
No, and I understand. And listen, in Zach Edey, there's not going to be a lot of fouls called because teams simply won't go inside in on him. Like, you're not going to, hey, let's feed Madi Sissoko against Zach Edey. Like, you're not going to do that. And there's not a lot of guards that are going to challenge him as well. But when he throws a hip toss, like he's Kurt Angle out there, that's a technical.
Yeah, it's a technical foul. Should have called the coach from 8 Crazy Nights. He might have given you that call.
Like, that's the one I'm most upset about. Like, yeah, I understand he's going to draw 15 fouls a game. But also, call a foul when it's a foul. Don't go ticky-tacky on the guards when all of a sudden it's 30 seconds left. In a
no ticky-tacky. And I'm going to ask Scary Larry about that tonight, too, by the way.